When darkness falls.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
It's time for the Sports Blitz, the only live-streamed local sports show in Arkansas with all the latest on the sports stories that matter to you.
Got a jam-packed prediction Friday for you as we look at local sports. Got some congratulations to dole out to some local teams. Also, NBA, a huge college football weekend, and NFL picks and predictions from all that's going to take place this weekend.
Live from the River Valley Leader Studio, here are your hosts, Mark Freeman and Weldon Braxton.
Welcome into the Sports Blitz today. Happy Friday to all of you. Looking forward to the weekend. Mark Freeman, Weldon Braxton in studio. We are here to bring you the fastest hour in sports. Mike Anderson likes the fastest 40 minutes in basketball. Well, we're the fastest 60 minutes in sports.
Oh, that's right. I mean, we got stuff right on the docket. Of course, high school football, senior night for a lot of local teams. NBA last night, San Antonio Spurs took down Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah.
And, of course, some huge college football games.
Definitely. This is the weekend that everybody looked toward at the beginning of the season.
Right.
And there's been a little change, but for the most part, this is the weekend that it was billed to be. It's a little smaller because USC's lost twice and LSU's lost, and it's a little less dramatic than it was going to be. But you've got big college football games. We've got big NFL games. We're going to look at our Cowboys, and for those of you that are from this area and like us, they're Cowboys fans. Got to go from doing what you did last week, coming back and falling short, to taking on the only undefeated team left in all of the NFL. So that's going to be a fun one. But we need to start with local sports and give congratulations to the Russellville High School volleyball team. Those ladies are going to play in the state championship game tomorrow in Jonesboro. They're going to be leaving from Russellville High School early in the morning, and they're going to be going out to a big celebration, as Russellville High School has become accustomed to. Well, you go to a state championship game, which has become old hat for the Cyclones. You had the softball team did it last year. Both soccer teams did it. The basketball team got to go, the girls basketball team. So the volleyball team, they get the same treatment where they get their own little send-off tomorrow morning about 9 o'clock in the morning. All of Russellville is going to join together. They're going to get a police escort to the interstate. It's going to be a special experience for those ladies.
Always a special opportunity, Mark. When you get to compete for a state championship, I mean, it's something like you can't even explain. And Russellville volleyball, they've been in championship contention before. Actually, when I was in high school, won a state title my senior year. They've been competitive ever since then. They're back once again. As you said, Mark, I mean, you look at what they've done in that sport.
Yeah.
Of course, basketball, and then football. They're having a resurgent year this year, so it's just a good time to be a Cyclone.
Yeah, it definitely is, isn't it? And you're talking about state championships when you were in high school, and we were talking about we just came short. We came up short at Clarksville whenever I was in high school. I don't know if we had lean years there, but we were also moved up in classification, so it was kind of tough.
Yeah.
But as we left, they started piling on the championship in soccer, championship in this and that, and basketball
you blazed
twice.
The trail. That's
yeah,
what it
basically
was.
we paid the dues.
There
That's what it was. We paid our dues playing against those good teams back in the day, so that these guys could win championships now. So Anyway, congratulations to the Russellville Cyclones, Lady Cyclones volleyball team. They're going to bring back a state championship. We're believing that 6A state champs there for the Russellville Lady Cyclones. And also, Tuesday's election day, but I know what you Pottsville Apache fans are thinking. You're not worried about the election at all. It's basketball season. The Pottsville Apaches will take on Clinton on Tuesday night, and as we find out who our next president will be, whether it's going to be the same guy or it's going to be a new guy, we'll also find out what the Pottsville Apaches have got going on for us in the 2012-2013 season. They'll be without their football players, so that's probably 3 starters, but we've scrimmaged against them, some friends of mine and I, and we've seen that they've got a lot of talent that's going to be out there on Tuesday night against Clinton, and they expect to start the season off with a bang.
Oh, well, if they can get it done against the great Mark Freeman,
Yeah.
then they're ready for LeBron James and the Heat coming up next.
I don't think me and my band of Weezers was running around barely able to make it up and down the floor.
Yeah.
No, I think they're going to be tested by Clinton much, much more than we could do.
Yeah, I mean, Pottsville, go back last year. We talked about the youth that this team had. We wondered, hey, if Clarksville wasn't in this conference, what could Pottsville do? Well, hey, Clarksville's no longer in the conference with Pottsville.
That's a good
we
point.
know expectations are high there. Can't wait to see what the Apaches do this year.
Well, let's get a little deeper into our Rack Furniture Warehouse local sports segment, and let's look at our AR Sports Magazine schedule for what's going to be taking place this weekend in high school football. It's the last week of the regular season. We'll lead into the state playoffs next week. Weldon, am I crazy or
Yes.
did I hear yesterday that the 7A and 6A in football, not everybody makes the playoffs anymore?
I'm not sure about that. I know.
See,
that's
I
how
thought
it
the
was in
6A,
Dover.
I thought the 6A since its inception with 7A and 6A, everybody in the 6A made the playoffs.
That used to be how it was. Now, there was a new alignment as far as conferences and some rule changes. We'll have to check on that too.
Yeah, I have to make sure. Bottom line, I think Russellville's going to make it.
Yeah.
No matter what. But they take on Greenwood tonight on senior night. We'll be there. We talked to Mitch Mullen's mother just a little while ago to get the details on when exactly the senior night festivities will begin. They're going to meet about 6:15 and walk their sons at 6:30. It's going to be an emotional night for some parents, but we'll get to be there and photograph that experience there as the Cyclones get prepared to take on Greenwood. Also, another senior night I know of is Dover against Subiaco at home. We'll have Johnny Sane on the scene there as the Pirates take on Subiaco. They've had a tough year, but like we talked to a fan the other day, they're still fighting. They're still playing as hard as they possibly can, and that's something to be admired when you're having a tough go of it. And I know a kid from Clarksville who plays tight end for them, and he's talked about how proud he was as a senior that these guys didn't quit on him. Knowing that they were struggling, knowing that they weren't winning games like they wanted to, they still didn't quit. They brought it every single night, and there's not much more you can ask for.
No, I mean, we know it's been a tough year for Dover. No doubt about it. But when you look at this team, and you touched on it, their ability to come back week after week and continue to play. And Dover's had some bright spots over the last few years. I know some of the former players. And as we've seen, they've got some good young players. Usually Dover's a school that'll play some kids up. And obviously when you're playing ninth graders, it's a struggle early. But if you can get them into the program, keep them going by year 2, year 3, and year 4, you start to see some of the fruits of that labor. And I think Dover and their fans have a lot to look forward to in the future.
Looking at some other games that are going to be taking place this evening, you've got the Pottsville Apaches trying to bounce back from a loss to Boonville. They'll take on Waldron tonight. Dardanelle is going to go to Mena this evening. Clarksville close out its season against Morrilton, and then it is on to Clarksville Panther basketball, which is what we're all looking forward to. Can't wait. Morrilton obviously going to be at Clarksville. Lamar beat Atkins last week. They'll take on Paris this week. Huge game for the Warriors there in the 3A. Atkins is going to be at Danville. Hector is going to host Johnson County Westside. Two Rivers is going to be hosting Glen Rose. And as we mentioned, Dover is going to take on Subiaco Academy. Arkansas Tech also taking on a senior day tomorrow against East Central. They'll be kicking off at 2 o'clock there at Thone Stadium, Merkle Field. So, Weldon, we've got a lot of teams who, and you can speak to this because you played football, and I remember basketball was a little different, but the senior night festivities, kind of like homecoming, maybe a little bit of a distraction, but it's also an emotional day. I don't know if you can take a lift from it, if it's going to help these players or what it's going to do for them, but it's always just a little bit different on senior night.
Well, it's interesting to see how coaches will play it, and I know basketball they do this for sure, especially if there's no conference championship implications. You'll see the seniors get to start, there's a lot of seniors I know in basketball for sure that may not get a lot of playing time ordinarily, and they'll get to start and hopefully hold down the fort. If you're a coach, you're kind of sweating it out a little bit, saying, please just stay within a few points till I get my regulars back in. So you'll probably see some area teams maybe try to get some seniors a start. It may just be a play or two, but get those guys into it, acknowledge what they've done for the program over the years. And then, of course, you mentioned the festivities and things going on before. I think, players and coaches will try to shake that off as much as possible, knowing that there's a huge game at hand. Mainly Russellville. I mean, last thing you need is distraction. You got the Greenwood Bulldogs, one of the best overall teams. Forget 6A, one of the best overall teams in Arkansas on the plate. So Russellville will be ready, and they'll put the distractions behind them.
Man, I look forward to this weekend in sports. I get to watch my wife play alumni softball game tomorrow. That's going to be fun.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, her old high school rivalry there. She went to Nashville High School, and they played against DeQueen, and it was a huge rivalry. It's kind of like, I guess, Russellville-Conway to the fans around here. Clarksville Ozark or something like that.
Yeah.
Just don't like each other a whole lot. Well, they're getting back together and they're playing an alumni game tomorrow, so that's going to be fun. I'm going to get to pay close attention to these games tonight, and we would love to hear from you. If you want to go to facebook.com/sportsblitz, facebook.com/River Valley Leader or /RVL News, to the River Valley Leader page. Let us know what the score is to your game. Anything you want to let us know, share some photos with us. You feel free to email me, mark@rivervalleyleader.com, with anything that you've got sports related. I'd love to cover those things around the area, give these athletes and cheerleaders and fans, just anybody who supports their team, a little bit more exposure. That's what we're here for. So.
Yeah. I mean, great job, Mark. You sports director. You do a great job covering stuff. So, like I said, if it could be Pee Wee, it could be anything, just send it in to Mark. He'll do a nice little write-up for it and get you some exposure.
Also, we mentioned on Wednesday the commitment of Clarksville basketball player Dedrick Lee. He was an Arkansas Razorback commitment at one point. Now he is going to go play basketball for Oral Roberts. So congratulations once again to those that didn't know that. Dedrick Lee is going to go play for Oral Roberts. That's going to be a huge, huge get for Oral Roberts, who is a perennial contender. They've played very well in basketball the last decade or so, been in the tournament a few times, and just been a perennial contender. So that's a huge get for them. It's a huge thing for him to get that weight off his shoulders and not have to worry about what he's going to do throughout the season. He knows that he's set and ready to go.
Yeah. One quick point earlier. I read something, don't hold me to it, but I believe everybody in the 6A still makes the playoffs. Okay. We'll have to check more on that, but from what I've read, it looks like that's still the case. But as far as Dedrick, we touched on this at the end of the show Wednesday. Originally a Razorback commit, early was a sophomore year he committed.
Yeah.
And like I said, things don't always work out, especially when you have a commitment that early. What Dedrick wants and what he values may change. What the Razorback program wants may change. And again, it's all about the best situation for that young man. It's all about Dedrick going somewhere to where he's comfortable, where he thinks he can play, where friends and family can support him. And I think it's just a good move for him and ORU.
And before we hit a break real quickly, we talked about the NBA the other day, and I don't know that we necessarily made a mistake as much as the numbers that were reported are a little different.
Yeah.
Talked about James Harden, and I know we're going to get into this here in just a minute, so I figured we could just tease it a little bit. We talked about the Oklahoma City Thunder and why James Harden decided to go to the Houston Rockets and sign their offer rather than stay and play for Oklahoma City. Well, we heard that he was offered a 4-year, $60 million deal instead of the Oklahoma City's offer, a 4 years, $55 million deal. That didn't turn out to be the way it was. It was a 5-year, $80 million deal. So he was basically going for another year and $25 million difference. So can we blame him anymore? I can't.
No, you can't blame James Harden. I mean, it looked like it was kind of just petty cash. He wanted to, take his show on the road and be his own guy in Houston, but we see there was a few more $1 million in there.
Yeah.
And James Harden balled his first night. He came out, I know it was against the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons are not a juggernaut by any stretch of the imagination, but still, being more of the guy, playing alongside Jeremy Lin, but I just throw that to the side because I don't think Jeremy Lin is all that great.
Not about Lin's sanity.
James Harden showed he could play, and I think later on we talk about Oklahoma City, we can talk about how much they missed him.
Yeah, 37 points, 12 assists, 6 rebounds, and 4 steals, I think was his stat line. Don't hold me to that, but if I got it right, please give me the credit because that was pretty impressive if I did.
That was, yeah. I was going to say he's rattling it off.
If I got it right, that was pretty impressive. Go to Facebook.com/RVL News, Facebook.com/SportsBlitz, and answer our poll questions today. Our Honda of Russellville poll question for the day is, if Alabama's number 1 in college football, which they are, if you have them at number 1, who's number 2? Who do you have at second? We've got a couple answers to that coming in. And also today's Prediction Friday, so we want to know what your predictions are for the college football week ahead.
Hello, River Valley. This is Doug Duval with Arkansas's first Rack Furniture Warehouse, where we have the largest selection of recliners and mattresses in the state of Arkansas. Come visit us at 2609 East Parkway, the Rack Furniture Warehouse.
Set your sights on savings right now at Honda of Russellville. We're offering our best deals of the year on remaining 2012 Honda ATVs, plus special introductory offers on select new 2013 Honda ATVs, all with 0 down and easy monthly payments with approved credit. Be sure to check out the all-new Honda Foreman 4x4, now stronger, smarter, and harder working. How about a side-by-side? Well, Honda's got you covered with the Big Red. Honda's Big Red offers a proven Honda engine, automotive-style Honda automatic transmission with no belts to slip or break. Come in for a test ride today at Arkansas's legendary Honda dealer, Honda of Russellville.
Hello, River Valley. This is Doug Duval again at Arkansas's first Rack Furniture Warehouse, where Leon and I are back in business. We have gallery selection at quality warehouse prices here at the Rack Furniture Warehouse, 2609 East Parkway, Russellville.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Sports Scene of Arkansas offers a wide variety of sporting goods and apparel to meet any athlete's needs. Coaches love the top-of-the-line equipment that gives their players an edge, and parents and fans can't get enough of the high-quality screen printing that allows them to sport their favorite team's logo on jerseys, bags, and hats. Your one-stop shop for embroidery, banners, and much, much more. Visit your local team sports specialists. Sports Scene at 316 West Main in Russellville.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
Live from the River Valley Leader Studio, here are your hosts, Mark Freeman and Weldon Braxton.
Sports Blitz back here in the River Valley Leader Studios. We're going to talk a little college football now, trying to get our resident expert Brad Caldwell on the line. But, we're talking about who's the #2 team in the country. Alabama's #1, head and shoulders, better than everybody else. But who's #2? Kansas State right now in the BCS standings are there, but will they be there at the end of the year? Also, you've got Oregon. Oregon, on as far as the eye test, everybody says, man, Oregon looks good, but their schedule, they'll have wins over USC, wins over Stanford, Notre Dame saying, hey, we will have wins over both of those teams as well. We got Brad?
I'll be there in a second.
Now we do.
Brad, what's up?
Brad's hardcore.
What's
He's
going on?
doing Lord knows what.
Oh, man, nothing much. How you doing?
Oh, man, I'm living the dream, man.
All right, Brad. Hey, our poll question today, we want to get you to weigh in on it. If we all assume that Alabama's the number one team in the country, right? Are you
Yeah.
agreeing with this
Yeah.
on that? Who's number two?
Yeah.
Who do you think is the second best team in the country right now?
Oregon.
You think Oregon's number two rather than
I think Oregon,
Notre Dame?
I think Oregon's the second best team in the country. I actually think that Oregon would give Alabama problems this year. I know that we've seen Oregon play Auburn 2 years ago. Oregon's better than they were 2 years ago. That's my favorite, my team, but it looks like if Kansas State wins out, they will get the opportunity to represent in the national championship. And, I remember just I think it was earlier this year when the Razorbacks beat Kansas State. That guy that's leading the Heisman Trophy and all that. I think Arkansas beat them, didn't they?
Just shut them down.
They did. Now, Brad, based on the eye test, I think you're exactly right. But you know how people are going to be. They're going to cry about resume and who deserves to be it. So, assuming that these three teams finish undefeated, who do you think will have the best resume to face Alabama?
I really don't think that any of them have a great resume. If you really want to get down to it, I think the Big 12 is a joke. I don't think that their conference is great. In fact, I'm going to be honest with you. College football across the board is down.
Yeah.
But Pac-10, Pac-12, whatever it is not much better, if any better. Oregon's going to get a chance to boost their resume this week if they can beat USC, even though that win is not nearly the win that it could have been in the past. But they do, I think, down the stretch, they have a few games here where I know Oregon State is one of them. Oregon State's looking really good. So I think at the end of the day, I think Oregon will have the best resume, but I also think that they have to depend on Kansas State to lose one. And at this point, I'm not sure that they're going to.
Yeah, and I think so too. And Mark, I know you can speak to this. What's unfortunate is when you look at a team like Notre Dame, who at the beginning of the year, their schedule looked loaded. Like, oh, man, you got all these great teams. But Michigan State, that win turned out to be not so great. Michigan, not so great. Miami, not so great. So now that vaunted schedule doesn't look as tough as it did before the year.
And that's why teams like Alabama and LSU, who play in the SEC, will have the tough schedule every single year because you know what you're going to get from them. And it's not one of these Big Ten little pansy schedules that Notre Dame likes to put together where they try to play one meet. Notre Dame's not – they're trying to play Oklahoma. Now, Oklahoma in the early 2000s is different than Oklahoma now, and they know that.
Right.
And they're not trying to play Alabama and LSU. They're not trying to make that mistake because they know that Oklahoma and Alabama are different animals altogether. They don't want to go up and play against the best teams. They want to play against Michigan, who's pretty good, and they got a guy who, that's what Notre Dame's MO has been. It's about, well, let's play a great schedule. Did anybody think Miami was going to be just awesome?
No.
Did anybody think Oklahoma was going to be Alabama? No. Chances are Notre Dame scheduled these teams so that they didn't have to play the best of the best because they know that all they have to do is beat a couple decent teams, and they're going to the BCS because that's just Notre Dame. So, I think they're very creative with the way they schedule. They always have been that way. They don't want to play the best teams, and that kind of drives me nuts because then you're in the SEC. If you're Arkansas last year, you lose to the number one team in the country twice. You lose to Alabama, you lose to LSU. The only two teams to beat Arkansas last year were the top teams in the country, and they kind of get punished for it. And Notre Dame's going to, like you guys have been talking about, get to play possibly in the national championship game or at least be in a BCS game with a schedule that doesn't look all that great. Brad, along with the question that I asked about who should be number two as far as the poll goes, who do you think? You said Oregon should probably be number two. Do you think that they're the best shot to beat Alabama of anybody?
Yes, I do. Because, number one, Notre Dame basically tries to do what Alabama does, and they're not as good at it. I think Alabama would eat Notre Dame's quarterback situation alive. They just don't have a lot of consistent offense, and then their defense is pretty good. I have to give it that, but they're not Alabama. Then you look at Kansas State. I'm very skeptical of Kansas State just for the fact that Arkansas beat the mess out of them last year. I mean, really Arkansas played one of their worst games that we had seen them play in a while. Handled Kansas State easily. Very same Kansas State team that's running through the Big 12 this year. Obviously got a little bit more of experience. They're probably a little better than they were last year. But it's very hard for me to believe that Arkansas last year was as good as Alabama is this year. So I can't see them staying on the field with them. And then you go to Oregon. I really like Oregon. Maybe I'm the only one out there now, but I think Oregon this is their best team that they've ever had. At least my eye test, what I'm seeing, this is the best team that Oregon's ever had. Mariotti, however you want to call it, whatever his name is probably the best quarterback that they've had since Chip Kelly's been there. Actually, maybe the best quarterback they've had since Joey Harrington, as far as just quarterback for quarterback. Maybe they're totally different quarterbacks, but you get what I'm saying there. They've got so much speed. The system is great, and their defense is better than it was last year. The only reason they ever give up points is because they pull their guys in the first of the second half. A lot of people say, well, Arkansas State scored 37. Yeah, but Oregon was up 50-0.
Yeah.
And then they decided to pull their starters. So I like Oregon, and I think they're getting the raw deal, just to be honest with you, being number 4. I think they're the number 2 team in the country, and to me it's not even close.
Yeah.
To me, and we talked about this the other day, Weldon, I'm kind of a fool me once, you ain't gonna fool me twice with Oregon, and they've fooled me a couple times where I thought, they're the real deal, and then they play against the Auburn team, which we knew wasn't very good as far as defensively. They had Cam Newton and not much else, and Oregon's offense was kind of ground to a halt, and that's not something that I don't think that they would have a prayer against Alabama. I think, honestly, we talked about, I know it's a joke, the NFL comparison. Could they beat the Jaguars? Could they beat this team or that?
Yeah.
But the fact that we can even have that conversation shows me that this Oregon team, as good as they are on offense, they wouldn't stand a chance to me, in my mind, against Alabama.
Oh, here's the deal. This is where you got to use your eye test. I know it's the same mold, same system. This is where you got to trust your eyes. I look at that Oregon team in 2010, that defense. I look at this 2012 defense, and it looks different. Now, I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid 100% yet, but I think Nick Aliotti, defensive coordinator, he understands that this Oregon defense has to be about pressure and turnovers. They know they're not going to hold people to 15 points because of the nature of their offense. I just think against Alabama, anytime you give Nick Saban time to prepare, it's going to be tough. But I think the only way to challenge Alabama is to challenge their speed laterally, because unlike LSU is more of a fast lateral defense. Alabama's more of a physical inside defense. You've got to be able to attack Alabama on the edges. I think if anybody can do that, it's Oregon. I would still pick Alabama, but if I had to pick somebody, I agree with Brad, it's Oregon.
Well, when you look at these teams real quick, do you think Notre Dame or Kansas State are going to be able to stand up to them?
No,
not even close.
No, you're right. You're definitely right as far as when I was talking about who would be the best team to take them on, as far as that have the best chance. Neither one of those other teams has a chance, in my opinion. So you were right there.
I agree.
You don't hear me say that too often, Brad. You were right. I will give you that. All right. Well, real quickly, you've talked to us off the air about coaching search stuff, and you've come on with us and given us some names in the past. You're hearing a new name now?
Well,
I say a new name.
I've heard a couple different things this week, a couple different people. You don't know what's what, and I still feel like that at the end of the day, I'm not sure we're going to know until it's just time to bring to the podium. But James Franklin is a name that's been prominent this week. I've heard that one a lot. I've also heard Gus Malzahn. I've heard those two names are a lot. And then last night, Trey Schapp comes on Twitter and says something about that the coaching search is getting hot. Something happened. And then, of course, everybody jumped to Gruden's conclusion. And I was like, what? I didn't even see where that came from. But there was a lot of smoke last night that something was going on. I don't know what is and what isn't. Another name that has been thrown out there quite a bit is Mike Gundy. They say that Mike Gundy is not happy at Oklahoma State right now. He and the athletic director are at odds. And a lot of people think that he is one of the candidates, and Gary Patterson is another one that has some people have said that sources have said that he would take the Arkansas job. There's some people that don't think so. So to me, it's still a lot of the
number
same.
one on my
There's
list.
A lot
right
of
there.
names. there's a lot of names out there still, but I think that you're starting to see the search just at least be refined a little bit. And I think the names that I just named off are guys that are possibilities, except for Gruden. And I think Gruden is one of those that if he does, we'll believe it when we see it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I've already said Chris Peterson would be my number one, but I don't think he's got to. If he's not going to take Notre Dame, he's not going to take Florida and all these other jobs that he had a chance at, Ohio State. He's not going to come to Arkansas. So I would say Patterson would be my number one. If he's going to be, if he would love to take the job, we'd love to have him.
Oh, I would hand
Bring
the
Dick
job.
Bumpus.
Sure.
Just come on over.
Yeah,
Sure.
I was in favor of hiring Gary Patterson in 07. Now, we ended up with Bobby Petrino. Can't argue with the results, but just when the coaching search in 07 was unknown, I was a Gary Patterson guy. I've pretty much given up on him now, though. I'm looking down the list, and that Texas job, it may be out there. I hope that doesn't hold some candidates back. But I want to talk about one of the coaches you mentioned, Brad, because I hear this guy's name come up, and I like him. I think he's an attention-to-detail guy. I think he's a good coach. But it seems like there's a perception about Gus Malzahn. For some reason, people around the state, they don't like him. And I'm trying to put my finger on why that is. What have you heard?
I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. He went to Auburn. He took Arkansas recruits, and that's it. The stuff with Houston Nutt that happened while he was here is not his fault. I'll tell you right now, if somebody wants to call in, text in, y'all can give them my phone number, and I'll tell them all day long why it's not his fault that he went through all that mess. Gus has been nothing but just a classy person. He's never railed on Nutt. He never came out and said wrong to people. He does seem to have how could I put it? He just seems to make bad choices on who he works for, because it seems like Chiswick got a little bit jealous of him last year. Seems like Todd Graham got a little bit jealous of him at Tulsa. And the reason that they get jealous of him is because he is a very good coach. And it seems like when he goes to these places, these teams rise up, and when he leaves, they fall down. If you really want to know my opinion, I would take Gus Malzahn over Gary Patterson. I'd take him over James Franklin. I'd take him over Mike Gundy. I'd take him over anybody. I know, except for John Gruden, if they actually could get him. And it's because of what you said, Weldon. He's attention to detail. And the thing, everybody's like, well, I don't like his offense.
Yeah.
It's too gimmicky. The thing that Gus Malzahn does, if you watch him down through the years of time, is he adjusts his offense to his personnel. I remember year at Springdale, one of the first years he was there, he had a quarterback that couldn't throw the ball to save his life. So what did he do? He started running the quarterback and running the spread option, basically before the spread option was even existing.
I remember that.
And Gus is an incredible coach. And if you really want to know the best fit for Arkansas, it's probably him. If you really want to know who can go out and recruit guys to Arkansas, who can come in and do something different and really push Arkansas's perception up, I really think Gus is the guy. But, can you get past that polarization? And I think that you can. It may be a little bit. It may be a year or two. But if Gus is winning, he'll get past it. And I like him. I've always been a Gus Malzahn fan. I think he's an incredible football coach. And if you look down the list, even to the name of Gary Patterson, I'm not sure there's anybody on that list that offers you an opportunity to win a national championship besides him because of his upside.
I agree with you, Brad. And, I hear James Franklin, and I like what he's done at Vanderbilt. I just question whether or not he's an underdog program coach, and can he take a team with resources to that championship level. But
I agree.
Yeah, and there's another coach out there that's gotten a lot of momentum. His team's won. Big win over Oklahoma, and that's Tommy Tuberville. Of course, he was on a media outlet here in Arkansas a few days ago, really starting to gain some steam. What I think is ironic about Tuberville is he better make sure he's got things locked up at Texas Tech, because he got blown out by Kansas State. He's got some losable games coming up. Where are you at on the whole Tommy Tuberville coaching stock?
I think Tuberville's a solid coach. I think he would come here and do well. He's won in the SEC. He's obviously built Texas Tech to a spot that I'm not sure that they believe they could be built to again, because after they lost Leach, I think that they thought Auburn lost there. He's doing it in a different way than what they did at Texas Tech. His defense is good. I think he's a good coach. I'd take Malzahn over him.
Yeah.
And people are going to say I'm crazy, and I may be the lone wolf out here on this, but it's something that I worry that it'll be very similar to the Mike Anderson situation with Arkansas, that 3, 4, 5, 6 years down the road, if Arkansas doesn't lock up Malzahn, that they'll look back and say, man, we should have got him. He's our guy, this sort of thing, because Gus is his dream job is Arkansas. He wants to be the Razorbacks head coach. And same way with Mike Anderson. And there were fans that were saying, man, we need to lock up Mike Anderson. We need to lock him up. And then when we didn't, he goes on to have a good career at UAB. He was successful at Missouri. He would have stayed there as long as he wanted to at Missouri because he was winning. He pulled that program out of the gutter. I believe the same thing could happen with Malzahn. He's that good of a coach.
All right, Brad, it's Prediction Friday, so we've got to switch gears just a little bit real quickly. Who do you have winning tomorrow? Do you have Arkansas beating Tulsa in this 11-21 kickoff on homecoming, or do you have the Tulsa Golden Hurricane winning?
Well, it's going to come down to turnovers. Arkansas has proven if they don't turn the ball over, they can play pretty well. They're not as bad a team as they look, but when they turn the football over, they just aren't good enough this year to dig themselves out of the hole. So I will say that if Arkansas doesn't turn the ball over, I look for them to beat Tulsa. Tulsa they're pretty good. Look at their schedule; they haven't beat anybody.
Yeah.
Struggled with the Marshall team just a couple weeks ago. That's not very good. They don't have a lot of defense behind them. Of course, they can run the score up just like anybody else can, especially on Arkansas. But I look for it at the end of the day. Maybe I'm going to look stupid. You'll call me Monday if I'm wrong. But I'll go ahead and go with Arkansas. I think Arkansas will win the game, probably by 10 points or so.
All right, 10-point win. All right, we got you down here.
Spread's at 9, so that's about.
We got you down here. He'd be taking Arkansas with the on the money, huh?
Yeah.
All right, Brad. Well, I'll let you have a pass on your Lakers being 0-2, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Well, the one thing I was going to say is I hope Arkansas doesn't get a coach like Mike Brown. That's all I'm saying about that.
Yeah, you can keep him, Texas. You guys can go ahead and have him. All right, Brad. We'll talk to you next week.
No.
Mike Brown.
What?
No, Mike.
Lakers,
Mike
Mike Brown.
Mike
Yeah,
Brown. I think he said Mac Brown. I was
Keep
like,
him
you
too.
can keep both of them. They're both terrible. I'm good
See you
with that.
later.
All right, take it easy,
See you,
Brad.
Brad.
That's Brad Caldwell, former co-host of the Sports Blitz. Always good to have him give his thoughts on sports. He had some very interesting coaching search
He did.
thoughts.
I like that.
And the Gus Malzahn stuff. See, my thought is Gus Malzahn's not coming. He's pushed all his chips to the middle here with Arkansas State and said, look, I'm going to build something here. And I'm not saying that that's his career destination job,
Right.
but at this point, I'd be very hard pressed for a lot of people to respect him, especially recruits, if he just jumped from Auburn to Arkansas State to Arkansas within a 2-year period and he didn't do what he said he was going to do. You know, you can people will negative recruit against him in a big way for that. So I'm not saying that it'd be a terrible hire for Arkansas. I just don't think Malzahn's going to come.
Why do people hate him? I think that's the question.
That is a big question. That is a big question, and Brad kind of touched on that. Well, we're going to go to break. When we come back, we're going to look at the college football games of the week. We've got LSU, Alabama. We've got Arkansas, Tulsa. We've got USC, Oregon. Huge games taking place this weekend.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
It doesn't matter what you're looking for, chances are Good Deal Charlie Discount Furniture has it. From living room, bedroom, and dining furniture to one-of-a-kind pieces, Good Deal Charlie has everything. The staff is pleasant and always friendly, so you'll feel no pressure to buy. With new and used furniture for your home or office, you can find everything you need at the best possible prices at 2209 East Main Street in Russellville. Good Deal Charlie.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com. RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
Sports Scene of Arkansas offers a wide variety of sporting goods and apparel to meet any athlete's needs. Coaches love the top-of-the-line equipment that gives their players an edge, and parents and fans can't get enough of the high-quality screen printing that allows them to sport their favorite team's logo on jerseys, bags, and hats. Your one-stop shop for embroidery, banners, and much, much more. Visit your local team sports specialists. Sports Scene at 316 West Main in Russellville. Live from the River Valley Leader Studio, here are your hosts, Mark Freeman and Weldon Braxton.
All right. We've got about an hour's worth of sports left to jam into 19 minutes.
Let's do it.
18 minutes.
Let's do it.
So let's get to it. Tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, you're going to see some of the best college football we've been looking forward to for a year, since last year when LSU went down to Tuscaloosa and beat Alabama on the road. Now, Alabama's going to try to return the favor. Well, this week's game of the week is the #1 Alabama Crimson Tide versus LSU, trying to retain that -- ranking and that #1 BCS spot and a chance to play in the national championship game. Does LSU have a chance? Do you picture LSU having a chance?
It's hard for me, Mark, to give LSU a chance simply because with their anemic offense, and I think by saying anemic, I'm being very generous. With their anemic offense, they're going to have to force turnovers from A.J. McCarron and this Alabama offense. And you told me earlier this week how many turnovers A.J. McCarron had, or interceptions. A big donut, 0. Alabama, what I love about them, they're talented, well coached, we know that. But they don't beat themselves either. And I think LSU is going to have turnovers, because I'm having a hard time seeing this LSU offense score more than 7 points against this Alabama defense. So they're going to have a short field. They're going to have to drive the ball. They're going to have a short field because they can't drive the ball from the 20 all the way down to the goal line. Ultimately, LSU's offense is going to have to win on first down on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. The reason why A.J. McCarron's efficient, because he sees a lot of 3rd and 5s, a lot of 3rd and 4s, a lot of simple reads, a lot of simple throws, because that running game is devastating. Then you look at what Alabama does on defense on 3rd down. They play a lot of man coverage. LSU doesn't have a Reuben Randall. They don't have a lot of guys that can beat man-to-man coverage. So it's important that LSU gets yardage on first down and second down to make those 3rd downs more manageable, when Nick dials up his exotic blitz packages and things of that nature. If they stay behind the chains 3rd and long, and Alabama on offense has 3rd and short, it's going to be a long game for the Tigers.
I just posted a Facebook status a minute ago about this talk that we were just having with Brad about the coaching search.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to give you guys a heads up. There's a chance that we're going to have a caller here in just a minute who wants to refute those things and does not like Gus Malzahn. So that'd be good radio if we can get it. But anyway, back to the Alabama-LSU game. To me, LSU offensively, like you said, anemic. Just not been very good.
That's being generous, too.
Not been very good. Zach Mettenberger has been a huge disappointment. For a guy that I was thinking when LSU, and it was down to LSU, Arkansas, and just a couple teams that were vying for his services, I thought this guy makes a big difference. Well, he hasn't.
No,
to this point.
He hasn't. And
here's our caller, so go ahead.
Yeah, Zach Mettenberger hasn't made a difference. I mean, you thought when he came in, okay, no more Jordan Jefferson. Now LSU has a passing game. LSU can be balanced. They haven't done it. I don't know if they have a problem developing quarterbacks down there. Something at LSU. Zach Mettenberger's delivery is slow. His awareness is awful, and he's not giving them that balance that they need in this LSU offense.
All right, this is live radio at its finest. We've got a caller who doesn't really apparently care for Gus Malzahn. It's a good friend, Corey Thone. Corey, how you doing, man?
Doing pretty good, man. Sitting here in Nashville, Tennessee, doing my thing. Try to listen to your show as much as I can, but office work usually gets in the way.
Yeah, right. Stupid work. So Brad was talking about Gus Malzahn, and he's a big Gus Malzahn guy. He said he'd take him over anybody. He said those words. He would take him over anybody because this is his dream job. This is what he was made for, and he could be as successful at Arkansas as anybody. You don't necessarily agree.
I don't think he's ready. His winning record without, you look at his record as an assistant coach. You take out the 2 years where he had a once-in-a-lifetime player like either Darren McFadden or Cam Newton, and it's not very impressive. And he's only been a head coach now at the college level for less than a year, and you want him to step into the SEC, the head coaching gig, at a very demanding school like Arkansas and be successful. I don't think he's ready for that. I'm not a Gus hater. He does still reek of Auburn, which, I kind of want him to take some time to stand in the rain, let that wash off. But, no, I don't think Gus is ready. And I certainly wouldn't take him over Charlie Strong, over Gary Patterson, over a lot of guys. And I think Malzahn and Strong would both be fallbacks from where Jeff Long is currently, and the Boosters are currently hunting. They're hunting for guys that are currently head coaches at major schools or doing something else, like a Butch Davis type person. Not Butch Davis himself, but someone similar to that that's working somewhere else.
So if you had to guess, who would you say would end up being the guy, and then who would you like to see the guy in your dream scenario? Obviously, Nick Saban or something like that, but
my dream scenario would be to use genetics and create a child of Nick Saban and Bear Bryant called Bear Saban, and he would recruit the entire country. He'd go to Australia like Alabama's doing right now and get defensive linemen. No, my dream guy, obviously everyone's dream guy. He's the like wherever there's a coaching search, he'll be there. It's John Gruden. But that's more or less going to be difficult to do. I think he likes to hear his name mentioned in all the coaching searches. And don't get me wrong, I fully believe that we contacted him and made an offer. I don't think he accepted it. But, we'd be dumb not to just mail him, hey, here's a lot of money that we could give you. Here you go. Of the realistic candidates right now, I would be a huge fan of Charlie Strong. I think he's proven himself to be able to recruit in a tough situation. He walked into a school at Louisville that was worse off than Arkansas was when Freeman got here originally. I think it was way worse. Steve Kragthorpe had destroyed that program, and he's got them in the top 25. He's pulled in 2 straight top 25 recruiting classes. He's starting nothing but sophomores and freshmen and has a chance to make a BCS game this year. I'm a big fan. Plus, he's from Arkansas. He has national championship rings for being defensive coordinator at Florida. He knows how to win. He studied under Urban Meyer. I think he's he'd be a great hire.
All right, then. We've been talking about Alabama and LSU today in tomorrow's big game. I've obviously got Alabama winning it all again. I'm liking where I'm sitting there with that. Do you have Alabama winning it? And if you don't, who do you have? If you do, who do you have as the second best team? That's the question we've been asking today.
I have Alabama beating LSU. I do think that Alabama's offense this year has been better than I expected it to be, but I don't really think that they've been tested by a defense this year, though. The second best team in the country at this point looks like Notre Dame, as much as that hurts me to say. I did not buy into Notre Dame when the season started. I didn't buy into them even 2 weeks ago, but at this point, I mean, they're on a roll. I think Oregon is getting overlooked for how good they are. And I also think, again, another team I didn't buy into that is starting to shut me up is Kansas State. Kansas State looks really good as well. But I think if everything holds its course right now, we'll see an Alabama-Notre Dame championship game, and I think Alabama wins that one.
Ooh, Notre Dame. We haven't heard a lot of Notre Dame's, Mark. All right, let me ask you this. Notre Dame, a lot of people question that offense. They say Notre Dame's got a good defense, but Alabama may eat up that offense in that young quarterback situation. And Kansas State, some say, hey, Arkansas destroyed basically this same team less than a year ago. So you still got Notre Dame and Kansas State?
I think if it comes down to let's just play that out as if Kansas State played Notre Dame today, I think that would be a great game. Can Colin Klein score on Notre Dame enough? If Notre Dame's going to get their 14 points, and they might get 17. If I can Notre Dame or can Kansas State put up 21 on that defense is the question. I personally think with the coach Kelly has done an amazing job at Notre Dame so far. I think Notre Dame beats Kansas State if they played right now, and if when Notre Dame, I'm not going to say win, but if Notre Dame and Alabama square off, I would take Alabama just because of their experience in that situation, but it would not surprise me to see Notre Dame win that game because they have a lot of talent in the skill positions. They're young, but they're really good, and it's better than they're as good as most offenses in the SEC this year, and their defense is really good. So, you know, that would be my prediction at this point. And I know it's kind of a lame prediction because it's the top 2 or 3 teams, and no matter what poll you look at, but that's what I see happening.
Oh, I love it. Today, all right, Corey, before we let you out of here, we got to get this, it's Prediction Friday, so we've got to get everybody writing their predictions down for all to hear and see. You've got Arkansas, Tulsa tomorrow. Are you going to be the man who picks Tulsa to win this game?
Tulsa reminds me a lot of Rutgers. They like to run the ball, even though they have talented receivers. They like to run the ball, and we're actually pretty good against the run. Our front four really played well the last few games. I think they're going to have to come out and throw it in the second half, and that's what scares me because I'm pretty sure a fence post could guard receivers better than our secondary can. But I'm still going to take Arkansas by 10 in the game just because of the size of the size of the front five on offense and the front four on defense. I think we keep them under pressure and keep them down. Tyler Wilson, we lost ULM without Tyler Wilson. His leadership out there will make a big difference, and I think we come out on top.
Awesome. All right. Well, Corey, thank you for calling today, man. You'll have to get the Ustream app on your phone and just plug it in with some incognito headphones while you're at work.
Well, see, I can't do that because I'm cool and I have the Beats headphones that are the size of pie dishes.
Oh,
goodness.
Okay.
I can't hide that.
Yeah, you get caught in a big way there. All right. Well, Corey, thank you for calling. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, guys.
That's Corey Thone, good friend, who knows a lot about football. For those of you that couldn't tell, he's taking a completely different stance than Brad, which we love. We love to have differing opinions.
We do, and I like that too. You know how I like to make fun of normal sports talk show callers because a lot of them aren't educated and they don't have a clue. I'm just
we don't have that.
But I'm saying here, we have intelligent callers. I like when a man calls in, or a woman for that matter, and they know what they're talking about. We encourage that.
Yeah, even if we don't necessarily agree with their opinion about Notre Dame, in Corey's opinion, second best team in the country, we don't necessarily agree with that. He gave points to make.
We don't have to agree.
Their defense is good, and I don't know that Kansas State could score on them either. He left out Oregon, and I think Oregon would probably be the second best team because of the fact that they can balance the two, and their offense is just ridiculous. But either way, I think Alabama's the best team in the country, so I don't think that's even going to be a question. I've got Alabama over LSU in the rematch. A couple other games, Weldon, we need to hit real quickly. A&M, Mississippi State. The more I look at it, the more I think that Mississippi State was a little overrated. A&M, they've played a pretty tough schedule thus far. I'd take A&M close in that one.
Yeah, I would probably go with A&M. Yeah, Mississippi State got taken apart by Alabama, and he did make a good point about Alabama. They hadn't quite been tested. I don't know who will test them, but who they've played hadn't been all that impressive. But I would take A&M, Johnny Football. That Mississippi State defense will do a good job on them. Don't know if they'll score enough. That A&M defense is not that bad. It's a little underrated. Texas
Tech hosting Texas. You know who I'm rooting for. My second favorite team. Obviously, my first favorite team is Arkansas. My second, whoever's playing Texas.
Yeah.
So I'll go with Texas Tech to win that one in a nail-biter.
Oh, this one's tough because I don't think Texas Tech is as good as people think. And Texas, they struggled to beat Kansas just because Texas, with all that talent, just looks so awful. I'm going to give the edge to Texas Tech.
All right, and then the last game, Oregon, USC. Oregon traveling to USC. USC coming off of a tough loss where it looked like they were looking ahead to this Oregon matchup. This is for all the marbles as far as USC is concerned. In Oregon, they've got national title hopes, so this is a big one for them as well.
Yeah, this USC defense, I mean, it's hard to put anything on their back. I mean, last year they did a decent job. They actually went up to Eugene and beat Oregon. That USC defense not quite as good. Lost some guys like Nick Perry to the NFL. I got to go with Oregon because I think Oregon's a lot better than what they were last year. USC, not quite as good. I do want to throw one more game in there, Kansas State, Oklahoma State. I think this one is going to be fun. I expect Kansas State to win, but I think Oklahoma State's going to do some things. I think this will be one of the more fun games to watch this weekend.
All right, it's Prediction Friday, so let's get our predictions for the Razorbacks.
It's time.
On the record, we've got Brad and Corey both saying about 10 points is what they had it. Brad said 10 plus. Corey said around 10 points. Where do you stand on the Razorbacks taking on Tulsa?
Why don't you go first? Well, I'm going to give you the courtesy. I'm going to let you go first.
All right. Maddie, you got anything to say? You got any pick here in this one? He doesn't want to say. I'm kind of feel you. I'm going back and forth. Tulsa scores 39 points a game. They give up 25 points a game. They haven't played an offense that can do what Arkansas's offense can, so I know Arkansas is going to score more than 25 points. In as far as where I'm predicting it, I'm going to say that Arkansas is going to score in the 30s, but the fact that Tulsa scores 16th in the country, 39.5 points a game. I understand they haven't played any good defenses. Well, tomorrow they're not going to play a good defense either. So I would say with the balance that they're going to throw at Arkansas and the fact that, like Corey said, fence posts can do a better job a lot of times than the Arkansas defensive backs, they're going to put up some points as well. I've got 38-34 Razorbacks. I will take the Hogs one more time. Maybe the last time this year I get to take them, so I'm going to go ahead and pick them.
Yeah, it will be the last time, yeah. I am struggling with this one. I am because, we made our predictions for the Ole Miss game. And I told you I was close to picking Ole Miss. I was kicking myself for not doing so. Will I make the same mistake twice and pick Arkansas? Yes, I am. And here's why. You mentioned that defense. You know what's ironic is Arkansas's defense is actually going to help them out in this game. Not the entire defense, that defensive line. Corey brought it up. That's a good point. This Arkansas defense against the run, they're not bad. You even look at that Alabama game. They were pretty good early against the run against Ed Lacy and the best offensive line in the country. I think they're going to make Tulsa throw the ball. Again, Tulsa's still going to run and get their yards, but I think they're going to make Tulsa uncomfortable. Maybe we get a turnover or two. I'm going to go with Arkansas 37-31.
37-31. All right. Well, we've got these written down. 38-34, 37.
No turnovers.
31.
Arkansas.
Yeah, if Arkansas go ahead. If you want to give somebody a shout and say you need to do this, it worked for me and Dennis Johnson.
Yeah, let me have
Tyler Wilson, come on now.
That's who I'm going to have a conversation with real quick. Tyler Wilson, you came into the year. You were one of the best quarterbacks in the country. You were one of the Heisman front runners. You didn't get to that point because you had a rocket arm and you were all this and that. Primarily, you were a great decision maker. You took your check downs when you needed to. You didn't force the ball downfield. You knew how to read coverage. Get back to that. Take what the defense gives you. don't feel like you have to win the game on every throw. If the defense gives up points, that's on them. You play within yourself. Quit losing money. Quit losing your draft stock. Play well, and if you do that, you'll lead Arkansas to a victory.
That is a big, big point that he is costing himself some money. Just like Chris Gregg being injured is costing him some money, and just like Niall Davis has cost himself a chance to go play NFL football after this season. If he doesn't come back, he may not have a career in football. Tyler Wilson has got to step back up to the level that we expected him to be at, the level that he expects to be at, so that he could make his way into the NFL and to get himself into. Maybe he's just trying to get to the lower end of the first round so that he can play for a decent team.
Like sit down a few years.
Maybe he can be like Mallett, and obviously he was in the third round, but he waited and he ended up with the Patriots. Maybe that's Tyler Wilson. I see what you're doing there, but it's time. Just step it up, turn it on, and let's go. We asked a poll question today, who is the second best team in the country, and we had one person who has actually responded to that, and it is John Hickey. He says Kansas State. The Wildcats take on Oklahoma State this weekend. It's going to be a big one, probably the last chance that Kansas State has to lose in the regular season.
Yeah, and that's big for their resume because, remember, no championship game in the Big 12. You get a win over a big Oklahoma State team. That's huge because Oregon, they'll play USC, they'll play Stanford, they'll probably play USC again or somebody good in that championship game, so they'll have chances to help their resume. And then Notre Dame, they'll have USC again, so everybody else gets to help their resume a little more. Kansas State's got one more chance, got to take advantage.
All right, well, we didn't get to any more NBA or any NFL predictions for the week, but we know you'll enjoy your NFL and NBA weekend, so have fun and be careful. Go out and watch some high school football tonight and come back Monday, same time, same station. For Weldon, I'm Mark. So long. Have a good weekend.